Hello, friends. How you doing today? So exciting news, at least on my front. We have our second book report. The first one came from Chandler, who gave a great video kind of summary of the book that he took away. And again, this book is meant to spark conversation. So our second book report winner comes from 11-year-old. And I thought what I would do is I would just take a minute to read his book report, just to appreciate, what an 11-year-old took away from the book, One Rental at a Time. Kind of highlight some terms. I'm sure that he will now have discussions with his mom and dad. And again, this it's encouraging to see that you could write something that would spark a kid, in this case, a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old to take action. Right? I wish I would have had this challenge, and I'm really glad we did it. So, without further ado, I'm going to read the book report review. Excuse me. One Rental at a Time is a book on how to gain financial independence, which, if you don't know what it means, is basically being able to have the option of not working if you don't like your job. Although some people I know love their job and for some strange reason would not retire until they absolutely have to. Remember, again, this is a 11-year-old Grant writing this. One of the things that One Rental at a Time teaches you is patience, or the ability to not immediately rush into a real estate market and buy everything you see, but to wait and to carefully study every option available before buying. Another crucial skill that is taught me is that real estate has a lot of human interaction, which makes people skills even more necessary. Luckily for me, I could just hire my human chatterbox sister, who many think has a better people skills than I do. Again, this is Grant, an 11-year-old, sort of summarizing his opinion, and I like his sense of humor. Mr. Zuber also weaved his own personal experience throughout the book and what he did in those situations, which is great advice for anyone going through the same thing. One of the most important experiences in the book was when he told his story of Norris Drive and how it was important because it was his first property, but also because it taught him many lessons. One of the most important lessons was not to create alligator properties or properties that require you to feed them every month, which is the negative cash flow, versus the properties that pay you with positive cash flow. If you haven't read the book and have no idea what I'm talking about, here's a quick summary of each section. The first section, phase 1, jump into the game, is mainly about how they decided to get into real estate and what they did before they started buying properties, and then what they did after they actually did jump into the game. The next phase, phase 2, do your homework, is just as the name suggests, how to research properties before buying them. What Mr. Zuber teaches new investors is what I think is most important point of this chapter, which is how he had to hit the pause button. This most likely saved his career in real estate. Section 3, the real estate crash, tells the story of what Mr. Zuber and Miss Olivia did during the real estate crash and offers great advice on what to do in this situation, as well as ridiculous things that Mr. Zuber has heard and everything wrong with them. The fourth section is titled Phase 4, Hit the Pause Button, mostly to focus on how they remember to stop for a second and manage their portfolio properties, as well as how Miss Olivia first quit her job, then how Mr. Zuber coped with not going to work every day and found to do after retirement. 21 key topics every investor needs to understand. The fifth section in this book is pretty much self-explanatory. It's 21 pieces of advice that will really help a real estate investor. The second to last section in the book is my journey after retirement 1 year later. It explains more about Mr. Zuber's story after he retired. The last but not least section of One Rental at a Time is 11 key ideas. Just like 21 topics every investor needs to understand, this chapter is 11 key ideas that you should always remember. I feel that this book will one day change my life when I can finally sign legal documents. Again, you have to like Grant's sense of humor. I'm still 11 years old. I'll look back at this and think, thanks, Mr. Zuber, for writing this book and helping me gain financial independence. All in all, the book One Rental at a Time taught me more about the practical skills that will make my journey gain financial independence a lot easier, one word at a time. That's pretty funny, Grant. All right, buddy. Thank you very much for writing that, Grant. Your reward, your winnings will be mailed out as soon as your father gives me your address. All right. Have a great day. Thanks.